Hey Dave, this is Brett. I'm taking a look at your article as you requested, and I think you're doing terrific. You're learning how to make this tool do some things. And I can see that you mentioned you're getting some green bars. Excellent. So you're kind of seeing the befores and afters and how to make this work. Now, I see that you've got keywords here, ROI and agility, and you've gotten a 100% score on the ROI, so that's awesome. You are definitely making progress. I would like to point out a couple things to add on to this. And when I do that, I'm going to make a couple live edits in this blog article. I'm not really going to change the context, but there's some opportunities here, especially with the hyperlinking that we're doing. And I want to point that out because it will help not just this article, but the other things that you're linking to. So right here, as an example, we have something that's called a naked link, where you can actually see the HTTP and the code that follows. And then here we have a link that's on the word this. We've got another one to your book with the title, and then to something for Jamie Muffett, and a great online tool. Now with all of these, except for the link to your book, the thing that is linked, the word, or in this case, the naked hyperlink that is linked, they're all relatively generic. This mentions Jamie Muffett, but it doesn't mention Jamie Muffett in the context of why you're linking to him. Now the sentence does state, you want a good VO podcast? Check out Jamie Muffett's. So it's sort of in the sentence. We want to use hyperlinks, though, sort of like we use bold or italics. We want to put the important words or concepts into the clickable link thing and really make them stand out, not just for our readers to go get that more information, but also to Google. So I'm going to make a couple changes in here to show you some before and afters. This may or may not have an impact on Squirrely. It can, because when we're really lining things up even more, the words that we link to might also happen to be some of the keywords. Now we don't want to dump keywords in there just for the sake of having a keyword there, but we do want to get our important words linked, and we want these to have context. So we want to avoid using words like link or this or something. We want to actually say what it is. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of how to do that, and we'll take a look at things and go from there. And I've got a feeling that we could have some additional keywords here, and maybe groups of keywords too. So from our perspective, we're getting in on some business topics, and I love that. That's excellent. And you're communicating to your new audience as well, your evolution in business and as an artist, and that's also definitely good. It's fitting in with the goals that you shared with me and so forth. I want to help us look at this from a perspective of how to give more context to these keywords, and I want to emphasize the plural, keywords. So we can use 2 or 3 or 4 word groups here to get a keyword. And so we could also have, I notice in the title itself, you've got the word change twice. It's a play on words, but change is definitely a keyword that happens to be written into this article. And it's mentioned in the first word of the article, and it's mentioned twice in the first sentence, and it's mentioned in some of the sub titles as we go through the article and more. So that is really a keyword that we should add here. And there might be some other way to do this that ties it into VoiceOver, but there might not. So I want to add that as a keyword that we can track just to see how we're optimized on that word too, and get some insights into what it means for us. So there have been recent discussions on change, so other people are talking about this keyword. It's very hard to rank for this keyword, so we can see that with the competition thing there. So we could optimize for this, but our odds of ranking for it are not going to be terribly high in SEO terms. However, there are lots of discussions, and so from a social media perspective, if other people are talking about change, we publish this article and tweet it out and send it out to Facebook and maybe put a pin somewhere on Pinterest, we might join in or become a part of that bigger conversation that other people are having. So sometimes when it says recent discussions, that can mean it's a useful topic. And coming towards the end of the year, I'm not surprised that it's in a lot of discussions. But let's go ahead and use this keyword, and we'll add that into, and I'm going to update the post real quick with that added in, and I believe we'll see the calculation right after that as it refreshes the page and Squirrely loads back up. And so we can see the work you've already done shows that you've optimized for the keyword change already. So that's useful to know. Sometimes we hit things that we don't realize we're hitting. And in SEO terms, sometimes we start coming up in Google searches that we had no idea, people were looking on that topic or something like that. So in this case, we've definitely used that word a lot. So let's dive in more and see what else we can do. So I mentioned we want to take a look at this text, these links on the text in particular. So I want to start with your reference to your own article. I've got a couple extra tabs up here. I'd cleared some caches before I started. So I'm going to open up this article real quick, different tab. And this was the article, The Scary Thing About Change, from 2016. This was before we started using Divi on the site, as you can see. And what I want to do is I just want to come in here and grab the title of the text. We'll grab it as it is and come back to edit our text a little bit here. Bring up the editor, let things load. And so what we've got a couple things here. So we have essentially a reference link, but it kind of interrupts the reading of this article. So we want this article to flow and people to be able to scan through it and find the important things at times, but we don't really want the interruption. From Google's perspective, when we're doing the SEO part, we want them to see the link associated with the context of the important words that we want to cover. And a lot of times, if we've written our titles well, or if the titles connect with the body of the article or the point that we're trying to make, and sometimes it might be a subtitle instead of the actual title, but this time I think it relates, then we use that title in the thing. So I've known there should be changes in this blog since I last wrote, and at this point, let's change this to that title. I'm just going to paste it in there. Now, it pasted in, of course, with some things that I don't want, formatting that I don't want. But I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab the hyperlink. And let's see. We'll clean it up as we go. Okay. And this part's easy. Oh, of course. I think we've got the new, I'm still getting used to the new formatting myself. So how do we, oh, I may need to change a setting in your site actually. I think it's showing some of the new styles, which I don't want. So I'm going to pause the video real quick while I make a quick change in your site, and we'll come back to it in just a second. Okay, I'm back in the editor. I believe there's a plugin that runs on this particular site, and it gives us these drop-down effects and stuff like that. I'm not used to that. I don't see that on other sites, and so I was just a little lost. But I was actually looking for the toolbar toggle earlier such that I could change the heading, because when I pasted in that blog article, it came in as a heading 2, which is not what we wanted. But I've taken the heading 2 out. And so now I want to put the hyperlink back in. And so there's the hyperlink. Adds that back in. I've got a couple extra spaces to clear out on that one. So we'll do that. And then I want to keep going to a few of the other ones. You've got a good link on more than just a voice, the real secret. That's a real thing there. I'm going to toggle into the this link. So keep my tabs clean as I make the video. So I'm going to click on this link, and this is a big, long, nasty kind of headline, and we may or may not want this, but this is the type of thing where even if we copy some of this or all of it, and I'm not totally sure what's the most relevant part here. I'm going to copy that part right there because anything is better than the word this in terms of SEO and in terms of enabling our readers to know where they're going to end up if they click the word this, giving them, they may be interested in the article initially as you describe it, but they may not. This is kind of a technical topic, and they may get that sense from looking at this title. So take out the formatting again. Make sure that we've got just a regular paragraph forwarding on that. Might be bolded. It's not showing the bold, but it brought a bold in. So let's find out where that came from. Oh, it's got the strong right there. Taking out the bold there, the strong, and looks like this might have come from a Constant Contact article originally. So the link up there is a little peculiar, but we'll keep it. And so I normally try to take out, like sometimes if I copy a link from an email or something, it might do something similar. And I like to put in the original article. If we take something out of an email, then it's going to mess with the person that wrote the article's own metrics and stuff. They'll think they got another referral from an email, but it's really a referral from you. So put that in there, add in the hyperlink. This is an alternate way to add the hyperlink. Take out the word. Put the comma in there. Then we can get rid of this word that doesn't mean much in the context of things. But now we're getting a new technical level of information here, which may or may not be useful. I'm going to come into check out Jamie Muffett's item here too. And in this case, I want to grab the title of his podcast and his name. This will bring it formatting. I'm going to fix that, but I'm copying that whole thing. And let's just paste that there. I'll select it. We don't want the headings to look like that. We want it to look like text. So we'll take out the formatting. And we'll copy this link. Now, why am I doing this? Well, for a couple of reasons. One, it still has Jamie's name in there, which is important, but it's got VO School. We're in the business of talking about voiceover. And so, when we can get that in context and it feels natural, let's do it because we need that. And to not be redundant, let's come over here and do something like this. Since VO School is the name of the title of it, let's change our word to voiceover. Everybody knows that, but let's not be redundant, and it'll help in the context area too with Google. And then we get down to this next one, great online tool I found for this purpose. So let's pull up that link. Let's name the tool or name the purpose or both if we can. And so this is called Missing Letter, and it promotes growing your blog the right way. So let's say something like that. So instead of being generic, let's give our hammer a name or the context of it. So you'll see it everywhere. I'm going to come back and redo this just a bit. Missing letter. One of those funny spelling. Letter. Great. I don't want to take away from what you're promoting here, but let's say why we're promoting it. Excuse me. And let's see. They grow your blog the right way. Well, let's just copy all of this and edit it down a bit to fit, because that's kind of the context and the why that we kind of want here. A great tool that we'll paste it all in. We'll take out the formatting to clean it up. We could quote it, but I want to keep this brief like you had it originally. That's kind of my intent in the edit here. So yeah. Get this down just a little bit more for companies that blog. And of course, we still need that link. And I love the fact that you got the tweet this thing in there. That's awesome. So through and let's just put the hyperlinks there. And now we've kind of got this thing. So let me see, were there any more? I believe that's it for those. I want to take a look at one last little thing, and that's this image that says time for change. So we've worked in this text module. Let's take a look at that image module. I believe that's where it is. Or actually, this is pulling in from the post title, so it's pulling the featured image in. So that's fine. I'm going to leave that be. There are some SEO opportunities with the image alt tags, but we're pulling in a featured image, and so those aren't going to come into play as much. Nope, doesn't look like it. If we were just pulling in an image, we could set the alt tags on this, and as it is, it's coming down here from this featured image here. I'm going to click on this just to make sure. So what we have here is a name, a title of this image. Let's get this in there. Let's describe it. And oh, and actually, I just learned a new thing. People that have screen readers, people that have visual disabilities that are viewing the web, if you put a period at the end of the alt text, their screen reader will have a slight pause after the alt text, and it'll be easier for them to hear and understand what's going on. So I'm going to update this real quick. And our scores on the words didn't change, Let's refresh the page and see what it looks like after the fact. And now all of a sudden, the things that we've linked to, they stand out a little bit more for a bunch of reasons. Our hyperlinks are red, but it adds some context as people scan through this. And I'm scrolling back and forth in this video on purpose because that's kind of how the human eye works as they start to read. They see, is there something useful in here? And then they dig in and read it. I think that will help. It will help Google and the SEO options there. We've got lots of links on this article. That's excellent. Some articles will have links, some articles we will not, and that's totally okay. So one thing I'd point out, this article mentions voiceover business changes, and you do a decent job up here at the top about talking about the people you're writing to, and you're kind of setting up things. I'd like to continue to encourage you to talk about what you're doing with your VO business changes as well, and or what you can do for others, or how you do the things that you do for others, such that they can start to see where you come into play in the grand equation of the ecosystem of what you're providing in the voiceover world for your clients or the industry or the business. And as you do that, we'll start to move from topics that are, as we look at our keyword focus, topics like ROI or change or agility. These are topics that we're not going to rank on because they're just going to be difficult. It will be useful for us in social media to participate in the conversation. So these are good topics, good things to talk about. But we're not going to rank for these in SEO terms. But we might rank for a term like changes in voiceover business, or changes. No results found, not surprised. Let's check VO. No results found, but that's okay. So there's not a lot of people searching for this. I'm going to plug this in real quick just to see what Squirrely comes up with. I want to use the keyword, and to have it show up, need to save it, because this is one of those areas where it's a long tail keyword. So we've got these generic high-level ones that are things that people might discuss, but every now and then somebody out there is going to take a deep dive and say, how do I change my voiceover business? And when they Google something like that, our long tail keyword might have an opportunity to do something useful. And it looks like as I'm doing this, Squirrely didn't run the calculation correctly. Oops, wrong thing there. And that's okay. But we've got to figure out where our focus is. What target are we shooting this article at? And usually that's not going to be a single word keyword. Usually it's going to be a 2, 3, 4 word keyword thing. And actually it could even be business changes, might be something. It might be, we can see down here, there was a point where their business changes for 2018 was a keyword. Maybe it's business changes for 2019. And maybe that's a thing. Now we haven't, so we can't, and actually we can't do more research on this one based on the account that we've got at this point. And I don't want images there. But that might be another way that we slice into this article. The title, ROI, Adaptability, Agility. These are definitely strong subtopics in the article. But maybe up here it's, business changes for 2019. And up here it's business, voiceover business changes for 2019 to get it more keyed into our slant, our context of what we're doing with our business here, and kind of go from there. So hope that helps add to the good work and progress that you're making with this, and really encourage you to try to incorporate in the linking style of the hyperlinks that will help you a great deal in a bunch of ways, both again for this new article, but this is going to help Google dig into your other links, like your book and your original The Scary Thing About Change article as well, and vice versa. They'll start to tie those connections together in different ways based on the words that are used here. And actually, let me take a look at this article one more time, that old article. We might even come back to this old article and add a link into our new article. Could be because this article here may have some SEO juice on it already. It may or may not. I don't know the answer to that. But if it does, if we know we're getting traffic on it, we could mention we've got an update to this article and link over to our new one. I'm not suggesting that you have to do all this extra work. These are possibilities that we can do. And I think there's a world of difference in the style of, just flipping back and forth between these two articles. Your style of writing and the way it's displayed and laid out has definitely changed and grown in what's going to be almost 3 years now, since February 2016. And we are definitely getting to some articles that are easier to scan and read and better linked for SEO compared to what you were doing just a few years ago. So it's real easy for me to see the progress of what we've done here. There's always room to grow and change and fit that into what your own work style is. But just comparing these two really stands out to me. And hopefully you can see and feel it too. And we'll see, you're doing this full time now too. So your potential to grow and change could definitely accelerate. As I'm looking at this, I'm thinking for 2019, we might need to go with a bigger font for mobile purposes and more to help this stand out a little bit. Bigger, thicker headlines, a little more space between the lines, but a bigger font here might be something that we want to consider on a regular basis. We want this to be easy for people to read and scan, especially from a mobile device. And just another little thing that's popping up in my head. I don't even know if we need to include the date of these articles anymore. They kind of matter, and then they for some of your articles, and for some of your articles I don't know that they do. So this may be something where we don't want to prematurely age your content by putting a date on it, especially when it's something that can be kind of evergreen and might last for years and years and years. So that's what I've got, and I will get this over to you a little bit later today after I get this video uploaded, and hope you have a great weekend. I'm doing better this week, by the way. It was a tough week in the early days for a bunch of different reasons, but it's gotten better, done a lot of hard work, and I appreciate your support and encouragement too in that regards. Thank you, my friend. Talk to you soon.